Good day, children. So, today we move on to the next sub lesson from the lesson Glimpses of India from the textbook First Flight. The second sub lesson is titled Coorg by Lokesh Abrol. Lokesh Abrol is a renowned doctor by profession. He established the first multi-speciality hospital in the private sector in Gurgaon. He is also a social worker. He established the first stray cow shelter in Gurgaon. Lokesh Abrol is also an established writer. The present essay on Coorg highlights his sharp observation and the ability for a graphic description of the wonderful land that is called Coorg. Now, Coorg is a coffee producing area in Karnataka in India, and it is famous for its rainforests and spices, and it is situated midway between Mysore and the coastal town of Mangalore. Midway between Mysore and the coastal town of Mangalore sits a piece of heaven that must have drifted from the kingdom of God. This land of rolling hills is inhabited by a proud race of martial men, beautiful women, and wild creatures. So, Coorg is situated between Mysore and Mangalore, and the author compares it to a piece of heaven which must have drifted from or carried along gently by air from the kingdom of God. And he says that this land which is full of rolling hills is inhabited, or which is resided by a proud race of martial men, people who are men who are well versed in martial arts, beautiful women, and wild creatures. Coorg or Kodagu, the smallest district of Karnataka, is home to evergreen rainforests, spices, and coffee plantations. Evergreen rainforests cover 30% of this district. During the monsoons, it pours enough to keep many visitors away. The season of joy commences from September and continues till March. The weather is perfect with some showers thrown in for good measure. The air breathes of invigorating coffee. Coffee estates and colonial bungalows stand tucked under tree canopies in prime corners. So, Coorg, which is also known as Kodagu, is the smallest district in Karnataka, and it is also home to evergreen rainforest, spices, and coffee plantations. Plantations, big fields. Okay, and the evergreen rainforest, it takes around 30% of the district is covered with evergreen rainforest, and during the monsoon season, it pours enough to keep many visitors away. Means it rains quite heavily that people tend to be away from visiting Coorg during that time. So the season of joy, or the season of tourism, starts from September and it continues till March, and the weather is perfect during that time with some showers or some rain which comes in a good measure here and there. And the air in Coorg, it gives such smell of invigorating coffee, which means a very strength giving. Invigorating means quite strength giving smell of coffee. And the coffee estates and the colonial bungalows, they stand tucked under tree canopies. Tree canopies are roof-like coverings of the tree that form a shelter. Okay, that's like a hanging covers, and so these estates and bungalows stand under such tree canopies in prime corners, which means the best part of the town. The fiercely independent people of Coorg are possibly of Greek or Arabic descent. As one story goes, a part of Alexander's army moved south along the coast and settled here when return became impractical. These people married amongst the locals, and their culture is apparent in the martial traditions, marriage, and religious rites, which are distinct from the Hindu mainstream. The theory of Arab origin draws support from the long black coat with an embroidered waist belt worn by the Kodavus. known as kupia. It resembles the kufia known as kupia. It resembles the kafia worn by the Arabs and the Kurds. So, a history about the Coorg people or the Kodagu people is that these very fiercely independent people, that is, they are very great and independent people, these people of Coorg, they are of or Greek or Arabic descent. There are reasons why people say that, the people of Coorg, they are of the Greek or Arabic descent. One story is such that a part of Alexander's army had moved south along the coast, and when it was impractical, it was not possible for them to move back, what happened? These people settled here in Coorg and they married among the local people, and so what happened? Their culture mixed with the traditional Hindu culture also. So that is why there is a mixture of culture which can be seen in their martial traditions, their marriage, their religious rites. So it's quite different from the usual Hindu mainstream, that is from the usual Hindu religious customs. There are slight variations and differences because they have a mix of some Greek touch to their martial arts and their marriages and their religious rites. And whereas for the theory of the Arab origin, it draws support from the long black coat that the men wear. If you see on page number 90, there is a picture of a mannequin wearing the traditional Coorgi dress, and if you notice, that is a black coat that the author is referring to. So this black coat has an embroidered waist belt which is usually worn by the Kodavus, and this is known as the kupia, and it resembles the kafia which is worn by the Arabs and the Kurds. Kurds are people who belong to the Turkish descendants. Okay. Coorgi homes have a tradition of hospitality, and they are more than willing to recount numerous tales of valor related to their sons and fathers. The Coorg regiment is one of the most decorated in the Indian Army, and the first chief of the Indian Army, General Karyappa, was a Coorgi. Even now, Kodavus are the only people in India permitted to carry firearms without a license. So, the Coorgi homes are known for their hospitality, and they are very much willing to recount the numerous tales of valor. Tales of valor are stories of courage and bravery, usually which takes place in war, and which is related to their sons, fathers. So if you by chance visit Coorg and you go to a homestay or such places, then definitely those people will be able to recollect tales of courage and bravery of their ancestors. And the Coorg regiment is one of the very most decorated one in the Indian Army, and he also says how the first chief of Indian Army, General Karyappa, was a Coorgi, and the Kodavu people or the Kodavus are the only one who are permitted in India to carry firearms or guns without any license, whereas others are supposed to carry license for if you have a gun with you, then you're supposed to have a license, whereas the Kodavus are permitted to have firearms without a license. The river Kaveri obtains its water from the hills and forests of Coorg. Mahasir, a large freshwater fish, abound in these waters. Kingfishers dive for their catch, while squirrels and langurs drop partially eaten fruit for the mischief of enjoying the splash and the ripple effect in the clear water. Elephants enjoy being bathed and scrubbed in the river by their mahouts. So, here we can see how he describes how river Kaveri originates from the hills and forests of Coorg. It originates in Coorg, and Mahasir, which is a freshwater fish, it's quite common there, and kingfishers can be seen to dive for their catch, and the squirrels and the langurs are seen to drop partially eaten fruit, just for the mischief of enjoying that splash and ripple effect which comes when you drop something on the clear water. And the elephants, they enjoy being bathed and scrubbed in the river by their mahout. Okay, mahout is a person who takes care of the elephant. So, langur is a kind of monkey. Langur is a kind of monkey. The most laid back individuals become converts to the life of high energy adventure with river rafting, canoeing, rappelling, rock climbing, and mountain biking. Numerous walking trails in this region are a favorite with trekkers. Birds, bees, and butterflies are there to give you company. Macaques, Malabar squirrels, langurs, and slender lorries keep a watchful eye from the tree canopy. I do, however, prefer to step aside for wild elephants. So, here the author says how the most laid back individuals become converts to the life. That is, people who tend to move back. They people who tend to change. Okay, they become when they reach Coorg, they are full of high energy adventure because of the river rafting. River rafting is when you travel in a river in a raft. Raft is a floating platform which is made by tying the planks together. Okay, that is river rafting. Then you have canoeing. Canoeing is traveling in a river in a canoe, which is a large narrow boat. Then you have rappelling, which is going down a cliff by sliding down a rope. Then you have rock climbing, and you have mountain biking. And there are also various walking trails, that is paths which is created for walking. So you can go for a trek in those area, with you go for trekking. And the birds and the bees and the butterflies are there to give you company. And then you have the macaques. Macaques are monkeys. You have the Malabar squirrels, you have the langurs, you have the slender lorries, different types of animals. They keep a watchful eye from the tree canopy, that is from the tree above. They look at you. And also the author says that he would like to stay away from the wild elephants. The climb to the Brahmagiri hills brings you into a panoramic view of the entire misty landscape of Coorg. A walk across the rope bridge leads to the 64-acre island of Nisargadama. Running into Buddhist monks from India's largest Tibetan settlement at nearby Bailakuppe is a bonus. The monks in red, ochre, and yellow robes are amongst the many surprises that wait to be discovered by visitors searching for the heart and soul of India right here in Coorg. So here the narrator is saying that when you have to climb to the Brahmagiri hills, it gives you a panoramic view. You all know what panoramic view is, isn't it? It's a very wide view of a wide area of land. Now to make you understand what panoramic view is, I'm sure all of you have smartphones at home, and there is an option in your camera for called panoramic view. So if you take that, that is like you get a wider angle, a wider range of scene can be captured in one picture. Instead of being limited, you can capture a wide angle. So that is panoramic view. So it's a view of a wide area of land. And so he says that when you climb to the Brahmagiri hills, you can actually have the view of the entire landscape of Coorg. And also when you go for a walk across the rope bridge which leads to the 64-acre island of Nisargadama, and you also run into Buddhist monks from the India's largest Tibetan settlement, which is near Bailakuppe. And he says that these monks are clothed in different shades of red, ochre, and yellow, and so many such surprises await to be discovered by visitors who search for the heart and soul of India, which is right there in Coorg. And also you can see there's a text box which has a fact file on how to reach Coorg by air, by rail, and by road. Those details are also given there. Okay, so this is all about Coorg. Thank you, children.